What up, guys? Today we got a question from Korean Barbecue who asks me whether or not gi and no gi jiu-jitsu rankings, belt rankings, should be separated, because he said recently he was at a gym or looking at an Instagram post of a gym where a coach was tying on a belt around the student, promoting them. But when they were talking, they basically implied that they said, man, I didn't even realize you had a gi, as they're promoting this person, kind of like, look, you have a gi, let's wrap a belt around it. And so his question was, because, he looks at it and sees that a lot of the gripping mechanics and things like that are very different. Sometimes he sees people from one facet of jiu-jitsu who struggle to transfer over to the other. So his question is basically, should your ranking in gi or no gi, if that's what you sort of exclusively train, transfer over the other? So if you train only gi and you get promoted to purple belt, should you also be a purple belt in no gi, or vice versa? So brother, thank you for the question. Let's say that you're competing in a gi competition, all right? And you're a blue belt. So you're blue belt gi competition, you're ready to go. You go in and you compete and you lose to some person, super tough guy, and it happens, no big deal, right? But then you pull up your phone and you're looking at this person's Instagram and you see that this person has won multiple competitions in no-gi at, the highest level, beating tons of really tough black belts, super fights, 80cc matches, the whole deal. So this person is essentially like competing against tough black belts. Would you think that that's fair that he's competing as a blue belt in the gi? Just because they've never done the gi and it's not their thing, that they exclusively train no gi. Do you think that's fair? I don't. I wouldn't think that's fair. I would think that person's being a sandbagger. Likewise, you could flip it around. Let's say that you're doing no gi and you compete against someone and you lose. Then you find out that this person has won like gi worlds multiple times at black belt, but they're competing as a blue belt because they don't really train no gi that much. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about. I don't see some big distinction. I don't make this into a big deal. Yes, at the high levels of competition with people that are highly specialized, you will see the differences and they become very clear when someone doesn't train much in the gi and then this guy is like a gi wizard with all the lapels and everything else, right? You'll see the difference. But your average person in jiu-jitsu, they're never going to notice. As an example, my student Brandon Reed, he trains in the gi like twice a year. It's like just usually when he comes here maybe to do promotions or when his girlfriend sort of like finally puts enough like guilt on him. Come train with me. Like, let's go, do the gi for a day. So he'll do the gi like twice a year. Well, I promoted him to brown belt at my gym. You guys probably saw the role that we had together in the gi, because I tell my students, you don't have to wear the gi if you don't want to get promoted. But whenever I do promote you, I want to do it in the gi because I like the look of it. Think of it as, even if you don't, train in it, think of it as your dress uniform, and we'll put it together. Then you can take it back off afterwards. And we rolled in the gi. Trust me, even though he never rolls in the gi, rolling with him feels every bit of a brown belt, right? So yes, I promoted him into a brown belt, and he doesn't train in the gi, but if you roll with him in the gi, he feels every bit qualified to compete at your average brown belt competition. Now, would he win the brown belt gi worlds? No, not specialized enough for that. I think he could if his heart was there, but again, it's just not his thing, right? But like 90+% of the jiu-jitsu population would roll with him and be like, this is a tough brown belt. And again, I have other examples like that because I have a lot of students who train in one versus the other. Adam, by the way, just a quick thing. We were talking about this the other day. See Adam's picture up there? Let's zoom in a little bit, shall we? Look how grumpy he looks. So fun story about that. Adam, I was like, why did you make such a grumpy picture? And he was like, he said, man, he goes, the guy who took a picture, Taylor, didn't tell him what it was for. He was like, hey, he's like, we need to take a picture. He's like, do I need to look tough? Ambulance. This video is like ADD all over the place already, and then throw the ambulance in there. And he's like, do I need to like look tough or something? And Taylor says, sure. So he does this to look tough, and he didn't know that it was going up on the wall. So whenever you walk in, like the rest of us are smiling, and there's this menacing guy on there, Adam, and he's like the nicest dude in the world. Anyway, so Adam, as an example, is another guy who was really, for a long time, he trained mostly gi, right? I mean, he was very much in the gi, does tons of grips with like, leg lasso and stuff like that, just super tough with that. and he started doing no-gi, and he definitely struggled with it a little bit in the beginning, but now to roll with him in one versus the other, you don't notice a difference. He's a tough black belt, one versus the other. And so I think that, if your heart's there, bro, you can transfer from one to the other pretty easily. Again, if your heart's there. What happens is people, either they get really good at one version of it, or that's just what they want to do, and so they don't have the heart to deal with the difficulty of transferring their skills, in specializing a little bit into the other, right? This is what they want to do. And so I think that, separating them would be silly. I think it would be unfair in a lot of cases. And I think, again, a black belt is a black belt is a black belt. Sure, there's different facets of jiu-jitsu where we have like no-gi jiu-jitsu, we have gi jiu-jitsu, we have fighting jiu-jitsu. But nonetheless, if you're a skilled black belt, you're a skilled black belt. That's the way that I look at it. And so that's my answer, Korean barbecue. Hopefully that sort of answered the question for you. And I'll talk to you guys next time.